aren't they? Him and a
Yeah,
fudge
right?
packing plant.
Tom Cruise is a
They're
fudge
just so
packer.
subtle.
Wow.
Oh, that is so great. That is a good one. Nobody could do them. Oh. But no, okay, so get back to your other thing, to the Wiccan. I talked to my
Yeah.
friend, and
Yeah.
had a couple texts back and forth, and she's really kind of, she's like, she was like, I really don't want to talk about it on podcast, as it were.
Okay.
And they don't really like to talk about it either. The coven that she found, I'm like,
She found the coven.
they don't like to talk about what they do. Ow.
That sounds very.
Yeah, that's probably one of those
Yeah.
scary ones. You know what I mean?
If she found the coven,
Shit.
she's probably getting to the deeper part of Wiccan being witchcraft
Well,
and sorcery.
but it's not like the kind of light and fluffy stuff that they're teaching online. This is sort of like
No,
don't
this
go
is the deep.
online sort
Yeah.
of stuff. This is the ones
This is.
where I think they're more into, like, she started talking about, anyways, it wasn't the nice lady talking anyhow. The one that's teaching her is not the
Yeah.
same ones that I was looking at. Like, I think there's, as we said, it's just so over the map. There's like maybe good ones and bad ones, if you
Yeah.
will.
Sounds like
I'm
she found the
kind of
bad
wondering if
ones.
she found some of the bad ones. I don't
Yeah.
know. So I don't know what to think about that. Because she's kind of being a little bit, well, because she's kind of like not, I don't know. There's a history there, so I tread carefully, as it were. But
Okay.
yeah,
I don't want to
I
get
think
too
that we
deep
got
into
to it
it.
basically there in the end. It was one of those things that's over the map, so it's scary for that.
Yeah,
But
I
anyways, go
know.
ahead. If you have
Like
something to say on it, please,
no,
please.
like I'm saying, there's no central core beliefs of Wiccan. So I mean, it can be as as innocent as sugar or as deep as worshiping Satan. It has that whole rainbow. So I'm not saying any one part is bad. I'm just saying what that particular if that particular person is doing. So without any central core
Yeah,
beliefs, we can't really break it down into what they believe. I mean, what we're seeing online in that on
yeah,
that site is not specific to any one type of belief. It's like it's basically it's so uh
yeah.
oh god no frill. Oh, I can't think of the word. It's so general as to being applying to everybody. So
Like on the surface like that, like when we were looking at it, on just that basic one site, I'm not even saying I looked much
I'm
further
still
than
on it
that.
right now.
But
There's
just
more
that,
to it.
yeah, just that then it's like, like we talked before, that looks like gardening. But then, like you say, there's nothing that would guide anyone. But within that, there are these kind of strong nuggets, as you were.
Well, there
People that
might
are
be
really
subtext.
practicing,
Yeah.
from one or six
Right.
books or whatever it is, or 666 books, I don't know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's ones that are really doing that with faith and belief in Satan, as it were.
It
They're
could be
devil
well,
worshippers,
maybe
and
not
they go
Satan.
to it or not
Yeah, like
Wiccans, but
demonology. Well, witches,
I shouldn't.
demonology.
Yeah, Wiccans are not. Yeah, this is demonology more, but
Well, we'll talk
yeah,
about
but
Wiccans
it
and
can be
witchcraft.
linked
Well,
with Wicca,
you have to
and I
separate the
think the
two,
Wicca
because
is the doorway, perhaps.
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, right. Wiccan would be the doorway to
Yeah,
witchcraft and
could be.
a
Yeah,
lot of
it's a
harder
natural
stuff.
doorway to
It
that.
could be right. Like
Yeah.
pot could be a gateway drug to stronger drugs. Not for everybody, but for
Hmm.
some, these uh, belief systems can become an obsession and can get deeper and deeper and deeper, and they get into stuff that maybe they shouldn't.
I like that. Do you know why I like that? Because when they
Like,
say that pot of a gateway drug, it's really like pot's a gateway drug because of who you hang out with to get pot.
it because
Who
your
do you hang out with?
personality too.
The guy that also that sells
Yeah,
cocaine. So if
right.
pot, so pot's only a gateway because the same guy's holding them. So if in the same way that you could go into pot and thinking like, oh, trying to think of a
I can
celebrity
control
that
it.
smokes pot or something.
You
There's a
did
celebrity that
just
smokes
try to
pot
find one that
and he's
doesn't.
famous, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt everyone the same way. But then you get into the guy that's actually the crack dealer, and whoops, and it's like Wicca too. It's so wide over the place, right? Like pot doesn't have to do you bad, but it might do you bad. But Wicca, it's the
Right.
same thing. It's
Yeah.
all over the place. It doesn't have to do bad, but it can do you
It
bad.
can. Right.
It's
Right.
that kind of thing. It
Well,
could, because the people you're hanging around with are selling Wicca, but they're also selling like incantations for the devil. You know what I mean?
it
They're
goes
like,
to
hey,
personality too,
it's
Fraser.
gardening. No, it's not. It's evil.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
and I think it's going a lot to personality too, because if you have this kind of
Yeah, yeah.
personality, that's good. It's just going to drugs right now. If you have an addictive personality, you love that high, but you want something more intense. you might go to something harder to get that better, bigger height. So if you're into Wiccan and you want something a little more intense, you might delve into witchcraft and then, potions, incantations, demonology, other stuff like that. So it depends on your personality too. But you can like just
It's
scratch
like,
the surface, be happy with that. But your
oh,
personality determines you
yeah.
want to get deeper and deeper and deeper. So it's a lot of who you know, what you know, and your personality. And my
Would it
father,
be
for instance,
total? Yeah.
um,
Pardon?
okay, no, my father, for instance, he had a very addictive personality. So when he was smoking, he would smoke 4 packs a day, and then he quit completely. So it's like an all or nothing kind of thing. Some people don't like that.
Hmm. I wonder. I'm going to put it in quotation marks. It's kind of, anyways. Is it with you and say with Sean? Those kind of trying to make a joke. Is it sacrilegious to talk about Star Wars?
No, not at all. Why?
Okay, because some people are like Star Trek or Star Wars. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, that was a
Yeah.
dumb joke. It was
No,
because
there
I
are
know that.
people. Yeah, there are people who are
Like, I think my
either
brother, he's
or.
like, oh, Star Wars, it's good, but it's fantasy, whereas Star Trek is science fiction, you see. Anyways,
Right.
whatever. No, I have another point I
Yeah.
want to make, but it was more like, um, that if you're a Jedi and you see that there's this certain power with the universe, like it's almost like Jedi is like Wicca, right? Is that true? It's almost like that,
Maybe
right? Or
it's
there's
more
kind of,
stiff.
obviously it's an
Oh yeah.
imaginary world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
if you can see that you can focus the energy of the
I got a
universe
perfect thing for you.
for
Hey,
good,
listen
but
to
then it's
this.
like, oh, but I want to do some of that dark stuff. So then you're pulled over into that guy that says he can give you more if you go to the dark side. It's almost like that Wicca,
That would be
maybe,
exactly as I was
kind of.
gonna say. Like Sith would be Wiccan, and Jedi would be more into the demonology, dark parts of the witchcraft. So yeah, like two
Hmm.
ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, and then it's sort of, yeah, and
We talk
well,
like Anakin
and there was
Skywalker. He wanted,
guiding dogma to both of them. Just like there's kind of,
yeah.
well, there's sort of guiding dogma to Wicca, but it's not strong enough to say, hey, don't do it. Like they even say right at the
Well, let's
13th
say
point, it's like, we won't do it to harm anyone. But it's like, how are you going to make everyone not harm everyone kind of thing? I don't know. Something like
yeah.
that.
Well,
Or
let's
why
let's
isn't that point
let's
number one?
put let's put a Force user as a Wiccan now. So a Jedi being a Wiccan now that had that they aren't they don't want to harm anybody. They want power, but not at the expense of anybody else, and they tend to help. Whereas Sith, being the darker part of Wiccan and witchcraft, they're all about themselves. They want more power. They don't care how they get it. They'll hurt other people to get it. So like Anakin Skywalker, I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan or not, but Anakin Skywalker wanted to
Yeah.
save his wife from dying. So
Yeah.
he was he was influenced by Palpatine, who was a Sith Lord, in order to get a power to save people from dying. That's only a Sith power. So he was trying to help his wife, which was a good thing, but he was doing bad things in order to get it. So in
Yeah.
order to become a strong Sith, he had to kill all these Jedi, including younglings. So he killed hundreds and
Yeah.
hundreds of people.
He just went,
So
yeah, that was
it
the
was like,
slippery slope thing.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So he just
You're on
wanted to help
slippery
one
slope.
person. So is that one person's life worth all those hundreds? To him, it was, but that's the evil that he
Mhm.
traded to become or to have this kind of power. Ultimately, it
But
didn't
like
work.
one little step at a time, though, right? They tried
Exactly.
to
Yeah,
build it up. I didn't really like those first three because I thought,
I
wow, they
did.
had a long way to go. They had to build him from a nice kid and just one step at a time
Well,
till he got to that point of like, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do what you want. And he got there, but I thought, really? He was a, but I
oh, it
see
was a
he
whole
had the
story.
power of foresight, so he could
Yeah.
see her dying. He could
Right.
see her dying. He knew that that was going to be true. Like there was no doubt,
Yeah.
right? He
The funny part is though, if he didn't do anything, he stayed as a Jedi. She might not have died. She died
But
because he
that's,
became a Sith.
yeah, it's true. And I don't really, that part of it is like, wait, is there free choice? Please tell me that's not mean that, it was going to happen anyways. You know what I mean? But I hope that,
We're
or
going to
it's almost
Calvinism
like that,
now.
like,
Yeah.
right? But it
Yeah.
wasn't like a perfect, clear message. He misinterpreted what it looked like. And obviously she didn't die. He perceived that message that she was, oh no, she died in childbirth.
She
Oh
died
no, that was,
after childbirth, but she died because she didn't. Well, she died because she thought she lost Anakin. That's why she died. She saw him turn to the evil side. Um, So it's like
Oh no, but
his
he thought
choices.
she was dead earlier.
His choices made a
He th
self-serving
I
prophecy.
don't know. Anyways,
His choices
sorry.
were a self-serving prophecy. So his choices killed her. Had he stayed a Jedi, had he not done anything like that, he might have had his kids not, you know, she wouldn't have died. He would have had two normal kids. They would have grown up as powerful Jedi, and everything would have been fine. But his choices, he lost all of his limbs. He was burned terribly. He had that wear that suit the rest of his life, and his wife ends up dying,
Yeah,
and he loses his kids anyway. Well, yeah. So
yeah.
it's
It
like
was just, but then he got it back in the end somehow.
he redeemed
So he
himself in the end.
reconciled before the end, as it were.
Yeah,
But it was, yeah, no, but still, okay. Wait, sorry. So is it?
he was the chosen one.
But just that, like before he gets burned. So just his path to evil. Ah, sorry, I'm trying to bring it back to our discussions,
No, you can. I think you can reconcile it with what we were talking about because, like, is
just kind of the Wicca thing, but also just like the path from how to
well,
make one
well,
bad
thank
decision to again, like
right.
he
Well,
gets torn
Palpatine
away
was
from his
trying to.
family, and then
Well, Palpatine was controlling him, manipulating him in order to bring him to the dark side. So he was telling him all
and
these
he had
things
that
that
ego
might or
too. He had
might
a
not have been
natural
true.
ego about him, right?
Right.
He had a
Anakin,
natural
yeah, yeah.
prideful self, and that was he was
Yes.
just poking
He
him like
wanted,
you deserve better.
Anakin wanted
Why aren't
more and
they
more
like
power.
rewarding you
Right.
more?
Yeah, he wanted more. He
And so whereas
desired more and more power, which is what a Jedi doesn't
and he
want.
wasn't even
Jedi
supposed
doesn't
to have
want.
a girlfriend either. He
No,
wasn't supposed to have a girlfriend. That's it.
no,
Which was
no.
kind
They
of a
weren't
weird
supposed to be
thing. I thought
married.
like, man,
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know,
I
but
know that.
he
It's
wasn't
just
supposed to
what I
have
don't
one.
believe.
You know.
It's like a Catholic priest. I don't know if they should stay unmarried or not, but it's another story for another
No, but
time. But,
that's it. I think it's
but
better
these
to
little
like.
things.
I think
Well,
another
like I said,
story.
his
Not that I have anything
personality.
against Catholic priests, but I think it's like it's a tough thing to do. And if you want to really
Yeah.
concentrate on something, but I think that the human flesh is just. I don't know if we can really expect someone to do that and be sane afterwards.
Many
If you're
do.
gonna, but concentrate on what you're doing, but
Yeah.
just don't blue ball it your whole
It's
life.
actually, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's
Like you
biblical
gotta get.
anyway. You want to serve God,
It's a
get married,
biblical
but
thing.
we'll get
Yeah.
into that another time. But his
Yeah, and what that
personality, Anakin's personality, being a Jedi, because a Jedi being Wiccan, he wanted more and more power. So the more power he wanted, the deeper he got into the dark side. So
mhm,
when he
yeah,
fought Count Dooku the second time, Count Dooku told him, "I sense anger, I sense hate in you. Why don't you use them?" So when he started using that anger and hate in the fight, he won. So the
yeah,
anger and hate gives you power, but it's a wrong kind of power because it ends up
yeah,
deforming you in some way. So every Sith in the history of Sith have some kind of physical deformation because of the battles, their choices, or Sith alchemy. Sith alchemy, let's say there is Sith alchemy, Sith witchcraft. So we can bring that into
there we
our
go. There we
discussion
go.
of
There's the thing.
witchcraft. So performing Sith alchemy and witchcraft takes a toll on your body. It deforms you in some way. So Palpatine, when he looks normal, that was a Sith hologram or some kind of spell in order for him to look normal. After the fight with Mace Windu, when he became deformed, he became deformed. That was his way he normally looked, because being a Sith
Uh,
deforms you. So it's
okay, I see. And then he tried to use that as an excuse. But he was actually that ugly.
right,
He was just had this mask spell on or something like this.
exactly
Yeah.
right. It's all right. It's a mask spell. Yeah, he was really that ugly all along. And it takes a
Because
lot of power and
oh, because
strength to keep that mask on too.
so you would have looked into like I hadn't looked into much beyond those six movies or seven or
Neither have I. I
eight.
haven't seen anything
I
else.
haven't watched the last one actually at all.
Neither did
And the
I.
one before that I watched it, but I wasn't. I was very tired, so I tried to think about the
Disney
plot
screwed it up.
afterwards. I'm like, I don't know. It was looks pretty cool. I guess
Disney
what's
screwed it
his
up. So
name?
we're not.
Indiana Jones there died. I don't know. That was terrible. And then but all the
Han
good
Solo.
friends are there,
Han
robots and stuff.
Solo. Yeah.
Han Solo, that's right. Just kidding. But yeah, no, no, no. It's no, but they're really fun films. I really like getting into just like a whole nother universe that someone created for you to just play
In a
around
galaxy far, far away.
in a galaxy far, far away. And so we're that we can imagine these things. Like it's just great to see I don't know what
Yeah,
we
but
call it, magic, or
George
I shouldn't have
Lucas
said
always.
magic, but something like this, like just greater powers at work and just how it could interact with morality. Like, what if there was like 100 people in
Yeah,
the world that could
exactly. As I was
really
gonna say,
manipulate
yeah.
all these things? That
I
would
was going to
like
say George
change how.
Lucas had this vision of pure good and pure evil, and how easy it is to fall from that pure good side to pure evil, just being selfish and wanting more power. It's that whole thing. So we can go from person being Christian like your friend to practicing witchcraft or Wiccan, now coming into a coven. So that whole fall from being totally good to totally evil. Not to say she's totally evil. I'm not saying that, but it's like that. It's a progression. And deep, I'm
How
afraid the
one
deeper
can
that
go
she
there
gets
and
into it,
come back
yeah.
too, like,
Oh, you can always come
I
back.
don't know,
And Darth Vader
like
came
it's
back.
not
He
like
destroyed
there's,
Upper Palpatine.
that's it. I was thinking one time it was like about, not that they were ever like identical people or something, but like Sean and his friend Steve, they were coming up on a certain path and obviously
Yeah.
went different ways, or well, and I think they're both coming into a more and more loving kind of, well, I'm not saying that Sean was like unloving or something, but everybody was talking about,
No, Sean
Steve
even
being
actually
very
admitted that he was
nihilistic
having a
before.
lot. Sean was having he actually admitted he was having problems with his addiction and his personality, being angry all the time. So like he fell fall from grace, maybe I don't know, but he
Yeah, no,
understood he
no,
got a
no.
problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
but
I'm
no,
just
I'm
saying.
talking more about like the Steve kind of nihilistic problem, right? And to
Oh yeah,
come
yeah,
up from there, basically, and they come from, I guess the
a baby
similarity
step.
between
Yeah,
them was more the kind of the party, the rock and roll kind of thing, right? And then that,
to
like
go
again, one went maybe
to
more
actually want to have
nihilistic
a
and one went
charity.
more.
Yeah, but to Steve to actually have a charity too. Donate to
Yeah,
charity. I
his
mean, it's amazing. I mean, that's not
Snow
that's like
Tires charity is weird ass
right,
charity, but it was
but
just like,
still, it's
so yeah,
saving
I try and
people.
say Steve, but Steve's obviously not a nihilist, and I don't ever
No.
believe it. He claims to be, but it's like, come on, buddy.
No, I don't. Like you
That's not
said,
what a
there's no such
nihilist
thing as
is.
pure nihilism. But
There's no
like you're
such thing.
saying, Steve, that totally selfish attitude now to wanting to have a
Yeah,
charity to save people to have snow tires in Canada. That's a big step, and
yeah,
that's a
he's right.
step from total admission of nihilism to
Definitely.
think, well, maybe there's something bigger I should donate to. Maybe there's something I should
That's it.
help.
And that's
And
the same thing like these guys that like kind of turn over a new leaf in any kind of way. Like that you would say if you saw them like in their day, as it were. Like even reformed criminals, after 20 years in prison, someone's just like found God or whatever, right? Whereas
yeah,
if you would have met them back in the day, it's like that's what pure evil is. They've got like
right,
tattoos
yeah,
all here. They're just like killing people when they can. And then they just reformed in church or in prison, say. I just give that example. Like that would be the most evil thing to the most good. That actually can happen. You've seen these kind of
yeah.
examples too, right? So that
I tend to
evil
see
exists, but it can be kind of pushed out, as it were, or pushed back, even
good is
within a
always more
one
powerful
person,
than
right?
evil. Even in
That's
the
it.
Bible,
So
good is more powerful than evil. But I tend to think that these criminals who turned their lives around and found God only did it because they got caught. I don't think they would have done it if they didn't get caught. But you don't
I
know
don't
too.
know.
There's a lot of criminals too that change
It's a
their life around
powerful
because
motivator. You get a
yeah.
lot of time to think
No,
about
it
your
is. It is.
mistakes, right? So yeah,
It
I
is.
agree. Like you might have to get caught, might have to spend that time in the cell to really, or maybe it takes another 15 years until the guy finally goes like, oh wait, I am a dick, I don't
Yeah.
know. But you get a
Like I
chance,
said,
and not all ones do reform either.
I had a friend who was a friend of a friend who was a hardcore drug user. He took a bad acid trip. He saw God, got completely off drugs, and now he's a kind of a preacher or something. So he
Yeah,
never got caught either. So there's
yeah, it
influences.
can
Yeah.
turn. And it'll be your mother or your grandmother, whatever it turns you around. Like again, there's going to be yeah, the crack.
Well, Sean
There's going to
said
crack in that evil heart.
his son was the one that turned him around. He wanted to get clean for
Is
his
Sean
son too.
watching?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought
No,
you. Oh, I thought he was a comment he was saying. Oh, I thought. Okay,
no, no,
sorry. I thought you were reading his comment. I'm like,
no,
you
no,
have
no,
a
no.
viewer? No.
No, no. Sean said he wanted to get clean. Sorry, Sean, if I make a mistake, but he said he wanted to get clean for his son too. And you saw the problems he had with his
Yeah.
anger. So it's not like he wasn't a bad person, but he wants to make himself a better person. So he's
Oh yeah, yeah.
concentrating on
No, and
yeah.
we do. Yeah. And I think that that's the thing too. Like you. Well, anyways, I can't read other people's minds, but I think that's a desire. We want to get better, and then some people would see that as get more powerful, and they're just it's just driving that same energy
In a good way,
better,
yeah.
better, better, but it's not better in terms of for me. more loving or something, you know. Better is more, their bank account is bigger. Better is, you know, again, better for Anakin Skywalker. Better is saving this next woman in my life because I lost my mother because I didn't get there fast enough. So I have to try harder this
Yeah.
time. So better is trying harder to save my wife. You know, so just what better is, I don't know where I was going with that, but it felt like I was
No.
like, you know, if you think it's better, you've just got that messed up definition of what better
If
is,
it's
right?
better but
Something
doesn't
like
hurt
that.
anybody else while you're getting better, that's the key.
And
Gotta
to,
hurt
yeah,
somebody else
and to
to get
keep
better.
that golden rule in your pocket, right? Or
Exactly.
no, that's
Yeah.
the golden dog poop rule. You know, make sure don't use that one.
That's why you're training
And
as
just
a
to keep it
Jedi.
clear, like,
When you train as a
mhm,
Jedi, you keep everything internal. You know, you work out physically, mentally. You get stronger in the Force. For a Sith, it's a lot of external. You hurt other people to get their power to become.
right, yeah.
You do evil. You perform Sith magic, and that's how you become powerful. So it's like one is self improvement. The other one is you're improving yourself, but you're becoming powerful based on of the to the disadvantage of other people.
Disadvantage, yeah.
Right. So,
Did you,
or even killing
oh,
them. Good.
was that Star Trek? Star Trek, I think. One of these
What?
new ones. Maybe you don't like those ones either.
Oh, I
But
love
where they're
Star Trek.
like pulling life out of people? Was that Star Trek?
I
And then
think
the guy
that's
gets
no,
stronger when he
that's
pull the
Star
life
Wars.
out of.
That might be Star Wars. Are you talking about Snoke? That's Star Wars.
No, but like the
Star
big
Trek never
bad
had
guy,
that.
he had some machine that would kind of suck the life force out of
That was
people, and then
Snoke.
he would get it.
That was
No, it
Snoke. I
must
didn't
have
see
been.
it, but that was Snoke. That's Star Trek. Star Wars. Sorry. Supreme Leader Snoke.
What was the most recent Star Trek about?
Oh
The
God,
one
I
with the
don't
white
remember.
people. No?
The
Like the
movie?
girl that was like really white and had like lines or something. Like the oh, what are these new ones, you know, the ones that's not like
I
the
don't
other
know.
ones.
The last one I
Star
saw was with Khan, the remake with Khan. That was a Star Trek. I don't remember what it was. The new
that was
cast.
the second movie. That's Star Trek 2. That's the last one you
Right.
saw. There's been like
That was the last
15
one I
since.
saw. Yeah. I don't
You
go out
didn't
to the
see
movies.
4?
No,
You
no. I
didn't
don't go out to the
see
movies. If it comes out on cable, I'll watch it, but I don't go to the
Search for
movies anymore.
Spock?
That's oh God. How far now? You want to go back? That's the original one with Leonard Nimoy. You want to go back?
No, what's the one where they're in San Francisco with the whales?
Oh,
That I love that one.
with the Voyage Home.
Um, Voyage Home. Apparently they had like no budget, and Leonard Nimoy took a hold of
Yeah,
it, and he says, "Okay, we'll do this one in like San Francisco," and they did it like with
that
no
was
money,
it. It did it
and it
fantastically
was
too.
hilarious. I thought it was the funniest
It
one
was
I ever
great.
saw.
That was a good movie. It was funny. I don't know about funny, but it was good.
But well, comical in different ways that the other ones weren't. And apparently, well, I think Leonard Nimoy did a lot of that stuff, but apparently this one, I think he was more hands-on. He really was just having a little bit more of a fluffy time. And yeah, it was. Anyways, what was I looking up? Star Trek. What are
I
the new
don't
movies
know.
called now?
I have no idea.
Well, I punch in Star
Google
Trek
Star
and it
Trek
only
movie
comes
list.
up with like the
Let's see.
original series, like
No,
oh, two.
Wait, Star Trek movie list. That's what I'm doing.
I don't know.
Okay,
There's just
so let's see here. I got the movie list up right now. Star Trek 14. Oh, Star Trek Beyond. Well, I gotta go to the bathroom. Into Darkness was the one that I saw. Star Trek Beyond I didn't see, and Star Trek 14 I guess they're making. Give me a second, Fraser. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right
sure.
back.
I'll look up this sometime. Yeah.
I am so sorry. I had to go to bed.
No, it's okay. I was trying to look up. I think it is the Beyond one. I don't know. They were doing something. I thought they were
I didn't
somehow
see the
killing
Beyond yet.
people.
That was the last one they made. So.
It was like somehow they're killing people to take their energy or something, darn thing like that. I don't know. Anyways, just that idea of taking
Oh, you're
power,
right.
like
No,
use the
yeah,
bad
I
guy
guess.
using powers to
Yes, you're
like
right.
taking
I
the
just
power of
looked.
other people to get himself more powerful,
I was looking at
and
the
that was it.
synopsis right now. A surprise attack in outer space forces the Enterprise to crash land on a mysterious world. The assault came from Krall, Idris Elba. I like him. A lizard-like dictator who derives his energy by sucking the life out of his victims. Krall needs an
There it
ancient
is.
and valuable artifact that's aboard the badly damaged. Gotta hit more. Starship. Left stranded in the rugged wilderness, Kirk, Chris
How
Pine,
are you reading?
Spock, Zachary Quinto, and the rest of the crew must now battle a deadly alien race while trying to find a way off their hostile planet. Okay, it sounds interesting. I would watch it. Love Star Trek.
Yeah, it's just recent too. I bet you I could find that too.
It was made
Yeah.
2016, so it hasn't even come on cable yet.
Oh
I
yeah,
only
that's
watch
good.
it if it comes on cable. I will never go to a movie theater ever again. I will never ever support Hollywood ever
Never
again.
go.